Hi. In this section, we're going to learn about accessing the Scottish Longitudinal Study. So the startup procedure is to have a look at our website. Browse through the data dictionary, have a wee look at the variables. It's also important to get an idea of what questions were actually asked at census. Because, for example, income was not asked, and we have quite a lot of derived measures on socioeconomic status from census, so it's important to see what was actually asked. And of course, let us know what type of user you are, whether you're academic or non-commercial user. For example, NRS, SG, Public Health Scotland, etc., or a charity. So do visit our website with information in the About bit. You click on the tab on the top, what data are held, how it was created. Browse this variables bit is where you'll find our data dictionary. You find about existing and previous projects. On each one of these project pages is not only information about the project, but each output from it. And we also have our outputs database that you can search. Click on the tab here. And then what we're going to be talking about today in the guides and resources section on how to apply to the SLS. So everything I'm going to be talking about today is actually in the step-by-step guide. So if it's a bit too much here, please have a look online. All the links are there, all the resources that you need to read in, other agencies you might need to contact, everything's on our webpage. So I'm going to step you through this rather complicated procedure. So it takes you from your first idea, contacting us, training, filling in the application form, other forms, getting approval from the research board, extraction of your data, your analysis, statistical disclosure control, SDC, and on your outputs. First of all, just put your research down, just like your question, your idea, or whatever it is, and then send us an email. The email goes to our project manager, our NRS SLS project manager, who will then, once your project's feasible, be allocated support staff. And then we ideally say attend training or a module like this, or at least discuss your proposed study with support staff. And then download and complete an SLS application form. Once you're assigned support staff, they will help you through this process. And at the end, your application form is submitted to an SLS research board. They'll either approve your application or approve it subject to conditions. As you normally work through your application form with support staff, we don't really have projects that are rejected. And there's an extra step involved, and there's a separate training module on this if you're interested in using PHS health data. You have to apply to the Public Benefit and Privacy Panel for Health and Social Care, and this is from colleagues over at PHS from EDRIS, and you'll be assigned a research coordinator who is similar to the SLS support staff. They will guide and help you through the application. You also need to complete plenty forms, including an SLS undertaking form, become approved researcher, which involves if you don't have relevant information governance training, you need to undertake it. And for students, there's an extra form to fill in. So where are we on this thing? So you've got an idea, you've contacted us, I've had a wee look at this module. You're filling in a form along with support staff. You've completed your undertaking form, you're approved researcher. If you require health data, you start applying to PBPP. And you've got approval from the research board now. So at this point, your data set is created. You don't actually get the whole SLS, it's only your research cohort as outlined in your application form. So once your data has been extracted, it's labelled up by staff, and we can send you what's known as an empty shell. As the name suggests, there's no data in it, it's only variable names, and we can send you the syntax we use to label it up to help you do some initial deriving variables outside the safe haven. And we arrange for your first visit, and we can give you an induction and talk about safe setting guidelines and statistical disclosure control, SDC. You'll hear that a lot when you work with SLS. The main way to work with SLS is actually coming in to the safe setting in Ladywell, where we work in, we call it safe setting, but it's really a safe haven. And you don't have, as I said before, access to the whole SLS, it's only your subset. The computers are on a non-internet network where lots of like security features added in, like all the ports are locked down. So say you did try to put a pen drive into one of our ports, it would flash up on one of the support staff's computer to let us know. And you can't take away any pre-publication output straight away because it's got to be cleared SDC by our staff. We also have ways of remote access, and at the moment the two that we have is either working with a synthetic extract of your main data file, but of course you do have to come and do a wee bit of initial data management to create your sort of wide version, and then you can work on at your own computer on your extract until your code's finalized, and then just come in at the end to run it on the real data. We found that works quite well, especially since COVID. We're offering it to all our projects. Or towards the end of your project, maybe you've submitted a paper or your thesis, and then someone's asked for further models, and you're not in the Edinburgh area. If you have your syntax and you know your most recent data file, then you can send us code, and we're quite happy to run that for you. I've said there you can use like the online data dictionary to look up variables to help writing the sort of syntax, but normally by this stage it's just models, and you already know your variable names. So we can clear limited what we call stage 1 pre-publication output that you, or intermediate output that you can share with your immediate research team who've signed the undertaking form. And this is generally cross tabulations or regression models. You can't leave us like log files or stat package outputs like SPSS output. We can't clear them straight away. Outputs must be presented to us in an understandable way with sort of variable labels and the tables obvious. Notes provided when you apply SDC. I say you were looking at ethnic group by age, by sex, by area, and you've combined something or other together to avoid SDC. You know, small cell size. We have a threshold to 10. If you've done some SDC yourself, you've got to let us know what you've done so we can work back to totals. And of course, complete case is obviously preferred as it's easier on what we call version and control of outputs. And then we also have stage 2 final publication output. And this is when your requests show anyone beyond your immediate research team who hasn't signed an undertaking form. This could be a paper, a seminar, presentation, a thesis, anything really, and it's the NRS SLS project manager that clears these. A bit more on this stage 1 pre-publication output, because this will be what your first thing you'll be taking away from the safe settings. And we implement our checks and we give you a copy of these so you know what we're looking for. So while this might sound like a bit much at the moment, we give you all the information you need to do your own SDC before we do it. So we would either alter it slightly so it no longer contains whatever the disclosive elements are, but it's probably better that you do it yourself in case we group the wrong categories together. And then we send you it usually by encrypted email, and just to stress, you'll never receive any SLS data, only outputs. Thank you.